Happy Malcolm on Tuesday to everybody. Tuesday to everybody. Look like you just woke up.
Yeah, I always look like this in the morning.
Oh man. Happy Macam Tuesday. Y'all, how y'all doing? Happy Macam Tuesday.
Happy Macam Tuesday. You know me. I'm just
Hey.
chilling.
Yes, indeed. I see you. Young delicious.
Ah,
Hey there, how you feeling, man? Man, y'all will not believe what just transpired. You might have some lag. This thing. Dang, hey, I just Simone, I ain't even see you. I'm for real, I ain't even see you pop up. You know what I mean? Let me move my thing around. Hey, girl, good to see you. I mean, it's good to not see you, but see you.
Hold on, I gotta put my phone on right quick. Hold on.
For sure. Say some hi.
Because you said hi to everybody else. Just said forget about little Aja. But it's cool.
Asha ain't in the building. 110%. Heads up too. I gotta start doing this better. So we brought it back down to once a week for this week. Just so that so today is the only day that we're gonna rock out on the 11. Tomorrow and Thursday we're gonna.
Wait, you said today is the only day. What?
That we're that our guest speaker is coming in at 11.
Okay.
Tomorrow and Thursday they will be in at 7. But that means that we still got action. Today is the 30th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Y'all remember that meeting that we had with the white dudes last week? With the Consume Design Crate? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got another meeting today. Oh, y'all already accepted the daggone thing. I'm the only one who didn't accept. Excuse me.
Wow. You talk about us all the time, though.
I know, right? Sure. But I was coming to tell y'all like what it was. You know what I mean? I was coming to remind y'all. Good morning, Miss Benjamin. How you doing? You on mute?
I'm wonderfully well, and yourself?
Yeah, you did say
Good morning. How are you?
good morning.
making no noise. I ain't making no noise. It's good to see you. Thank you for tapping in with us this morning. Aja Simone, she's going to be our facilitator today, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead. Our guest is right here. If you want to go ahead and ask her what you need to, if you need to.
Good morning, Miss
talk about the
Benjamin.
meeting?
Good morning. Huh? Aja, did you ask me something?
No, I was at. Never mind. Anyways, but well, good morning, and how are you today?
I'm doing wonderfully well, and yourself?
I'm good. That's good. What was I gonna ask you? Is there anything like as far as introducing you and stuff like that? How would you like me to introduce you?
However you would like.
Okay. Is there anything that you want me to put out there before you tell your story, or do you want,
Not necessarily. I mean, if you want however you want to introduce me is fine.
Okay. You probably already know this, but I'm gonna just still tell you. If someone has a question, then they'll use this emoji.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you could just pause your story and then answer their question and start where you left back off. Either they'll use that emoji or they'll actually raise their hand in the video. So, but I'll be looking out for them if they actually do raise their hand, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that's it. So, yeah.
My question is, like, how should I set my screen? Should I set my screen so that I see everybody on the feed, or not necessarily, or what's the best way?
Set it so that you can see everybody. It'll probably help you more, just in case if I don't see that someone has a question, and if you see it, then you can address it.
Okay.
Or whatever. So.
All right. Anything else?
Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, good luck, even though we haven't started yet, but yeah.
Okay. And I need to always show myself when it starts.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
proper.
preferred, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna not show myself for a few minutes just because I'm trying to finish breakfast real quick.
Okay.
All right.
Is it crazy to say, Aja, like you about to look like her in like 30, 40 years?
Honestly, no, because I look just like my mom, and my mom looks like my grandma, so it's not really. I could already see it, really, to be honest. Hold up, real quick. I'll be right back.
I think you look like me.
Stop it. Nobody looks like you.
His baby boy do.
Oh, yeah, he do.
What time is it?
Tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Can't nobody tell a better pain than glory. So tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Better you than people finding out I'm more. So tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Can't nobody tell a better pain than glory. So tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Better you than people finding out I'm more. Tell your story. Now tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Can't nobody tell a better pain of glory. So tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Better you than people find it more. So tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Can't nobody tell a better pain of glory. So tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Better you than people finding out more. Tell your story, man.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Art of Storytelling. Today's guest, we have Miss Norma Benjamin, or also my grandmother. If you are, relative to the, I guess, 5 Points area, you've definitely seen her before. She was employed with Whittier Elementary School for a good couple years. She taught math for 4th and 5th graders. And yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna let you start your story. If someone has a question, then you'll see them use this emoji. And then if you could just, pause your story and then address their question. And then from there, you can restart your story. So yeah, thank you. And you can get started.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. As Aja said, my name is Norma Benjamin. Born Norma Jean Benjamin to Bertie Mae Jones Gooley and Leslie Gooley Sr. I was born on October the 9th in 1959 on a Friday. I said that. Rochester. Yeah. Oh, okay. So let me get back on task here. I was born sixth to my mother's 7 children. I have 4 older brothers. One passed away before I was born. He passed away when he was 6 weeks old. And then I have an older sister and a younger sister. I grew up near the 5 Points area on 27th and Lafayette. I went to Wyatt Elementary for a little while. Then I went to Mitchell Elementary, Cole Junior High School, and graduated from Manual High School. Let's see. Well, one thing I remember about Wyatt is I was in kindergarten and I was going to school with my sister and some cousins. And I had picked this really nice leaf that was really, big and just a perfect leaf for my teacher. And we were crossing the street and somebody was telling me to go, somebody was telling me to come back. And so I was kind of in the middle of the street, got hit by a car, fell down, got knocked down, got up and was trying to run again and got hit again. But thank God I wasn't injured. So I made it to school. I was a little sad because my leaf was crushed, but that's my memory at Wyatt. Walked to school from my house on 27th and Lafayette to Mitchell Elementary School. I remember having a teacher who was, she was a Black teacher. And I felt like she really cared about the students and cared about learning. And I wore glasses at that time. And if I showed up at school without my glasses, she would have me go back home and get them and come back to school. So I felt that it wasn't anything mean on her part, but she really cared about me and cared about me learning. And so she wanted to make sure that I had what I needed when I came to school.
I got a quick question, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
So you said you got hit by a car twice on your way to school.
Yes.
And you still went to school?
Yes, because I wasn't hurt.
Okay, so the person who hit you,
they stopped and made sure I was okay. And yeah, because I said I was okay.
So was it 2 different cars, 2 different people, or was it the same?
It was the same car.
Oh my.
But God is good, see?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you continue, Dede had a question too.
Yeah, I saw Dede's hand.
I was gonna ask the same question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was okay, you know, just a little shaken up.
How old were you?
I was probably 4.5 because I started kindergarten when I was 4.5.
And getting hit by a car didn't phase you?
I was mostly, you know, I loved school from the time that I got into kindergarten. And so it was more, I just wanted to go to school. I was okay, you know, thank God, just brushed off a little bit, you know, and went on to school. I saw Tank's hand.
Dang, I think I forgot my question. That's crazy. 4 getting hit by a car and you still went to school. Yeah, I forgot my question. That threw me off. I'm sorry.
So I believe it was more of I was hit by the car, but the car wasn't speeding or going really fast. They knew, I think, you know, it was a school zone and the drivers knew that they needed to kind of slow down. But yeah, because I was being told to run across the street and then come back, I was kind of in the middle, a little confused. And so that's what made me get hit, I believe.
Jovan had a question too.
Yes, but Tank is still.
So were you
Okay.
At 4 years old?
Say that again, because most of what you said was kind of echoed out.
Were you by yourself?
No, I was with my older sister and cousin.
I said, when you got hit by...
You're in a bad space. You got a bad connection, Jody.
I'm not sure he's hearing.
Should I ask my question?
Go ahead.
All right. What happened to your leaf? Did you ever pick it up and take it to school?
I still had it. It was crumpled, but yeah, I had it.
All right.
Yeah. So, you know, I was taught at an early age that learning was something you needed to do. And it was made fun because my mom, she would teach us at home a lot. You know, she would teach us everything. She would make cinnamon rolls and, you know, for lunch when we would have school at home, like in the summer before school started. And even after we were in school, she would always continue to teach us at home a lot of different things. So I really, really loved school and did my best in school. So I really liked school up until I think I was pretty much a straight A student most of the time. And then when I got to middle school, going over to Cole Junior High School back then, I had this little, I don't know what made me go there late. I don't know if they were trying to bust me out of the neighborhood at the time and my mom didn't want me bust out. But anyway, I show up at Cole Junior High School and I go to math class and I just could not understand the math teacher that I had. It was a black female teacher, and we just didn't seem to hit it off, you know. So I started to kind of dislike school for a little bit. That was kind of a slump. But eventually I was moved out of her class, so my love for school continued. I really liked just learning everything. And then back in junior high school, then we had home economics, which meant you had a cooking class, you had a sewing class. I think that was the only two that I participated in. And you had your art class, and I loved art. So I really loved school until I got to Manual. And then I still loved school then, but I got to Manual and I tried out for the choir. And I pretty much, you know, I feel like I have a fairly good voice, but I've always been really shy. Even though, you know, I did well in school, I was really, really shy. So I did not get in the choir. And that was kind of a really blow. So I don't know, I kind of started not liking school so much, even though when I was in class, I gave it 100%. And, you know, I made good grades, but there was a lot of times I didn't want to be in class. So I didn't go to class. So I kind of, you know, ditched a lot. I don't know what it was. I know one thing, you know, I had a really loving mom. My father, though, was not in my life. I had a stepfather. I knew who my father was, you know, and saw him from time to time. I think as I was older. So when I was in high school, I saw my father more, but we just didn't really have a good relationship. And so I think that had something to do with my not wanting to be at school as much. Tank?
Was there a group of young ladies that you were running with throughout middle school to high school that was not influencing you to be in school, or that was just making you, you know, not like school as much as you wanted to?
I did have some, you know, peers that I ran with. Um, I think more so one than a whole lot, but back in the 70s, it was, I don't know, it was a lot of people that were just hanging out in Fuller Park, which is across from Manual, and not in school. And so I was one of them. And I don't know if it could have been peer pressure. Um, it was a lot of things. My mom was going through a lot, so I probably felt I could do a little bit more outside than what I, you know, normally would have. Um, yeah, but yeah, there was the people that was hanging around with. Um, they weren't as much into school as, you know, even I was when I was there. If that answers your question. Okay.
And during that time frame too, when you weren't in school, what was y'all doing?
I was drinking. I was drinking. I enjoyed drinking back then. My father was an alcoholic. So it was, you know, it was something that was kind of hereditary, that, or it was something that could happen. You know, if you have a parent that does certain things, you're more prone to possibly get into that. So yeah, just drinking and getting high, basically.
And I asked that question because sorry, I went down the room too. I asked that question because I'm assuming you experienced life without gangs.
Yes, it really wasn't gangs back then that I knew about. I mean, you had people that hung out with people, but as far as gangs, just, I mean, people did a lot of fighting back then, but it really wasn't gangs. It might, I don't know if you would call it cliques or something like that, but it definitely wasn't gangs.
So instead of like, cause now I don't know what gang members do and gang activities and stuff like that, but I see a lot of students when they do ditch, they do when they get into, you know, gang activities and do gang stuff and stuff like that, you know. So when you say that y'all was drinking, was that like drinking and smoking when y'all was ditching? Was that like the kind of festivities and activities that your generation was into?
There was a lot of alcohol and marijuana in my, you know, back then.
What about violence?
That was surfacing. You said, what about violence?
What about violence?
Not so much so. Not so much so. I mean, you would have, you know, a few fights here and there. I don't know what the boys were doing, even though boys were ditching as well, but it was kind of girls here, boys here, you know. So, you know, but there were fights, but not, I don't know. It was different.
Thank you.
So, you know, I was ditching a lot. You know, the principal was really nice. We had a Black principal. Can't think of his name right now, but he, you know, I was ditching a lot. I was still a really good student. So finally they got a hold to my mom and told her, you know, she's missing too much school. She's not going to graduate if she keeps up, you know, with the friends she's hanging around with or whatever. And that really, it disappointed me that my mom heard that, you know. Let me hold on. So I changed it and I went to school and I graduated. pretty good GPA. I think I had a 3 point something when I graduated. So yeah, I turned that around for that time. But I graduated when I was 16 in 1977, and had some college opportunities, but kind of messed them up a little bit on the way. So graduated when I was 16, turned 17 that following October after, graduating in June. Didn't go right into college after that. A year later, I wouldn't say a year later, but I was pregnant. When I turned 18, I had my oldest son. So I had my first child when I was 18. And then I wanted to go to college. So I enrolled at Front Range Community College, which is out west, it's northwest, northwest Colorado. So I went there for a semester. Well, let me back up. When I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher. Then I changed when I went to Manual and I started taking some pre-law classes. I wanted to be a lawyer. And then again, when I graduated, my GPA was 3 point something, and decided not to go to college right away. And so then when I decided to enroll in college after I had my son, I wanted to be an architect. So I enrolled at Front Range Community College and did a semester of school. Passed my semester. It was really difficult though. And so I didn't return. It was difficult because, again, I had a son and my mom was watching my son, but because of my school schedule, I didn't have a counselor that worked well with me. One, I think the school was predominantly white. And so it was kind of hard for me fitting in anyway, but I didn't have a counselor talking to me saying, you're taking too many classes, or, you need to lighten your load, and looking at who I was, being a parent and all. And so when I would go to school, my son was asleep. And when I would come back home, he was asleep. And, he was calling my mom. And so after that first semester, I said, I really need to be with my child. So I didn't go back. And so that was, I think that was in, I believe, 79. So later I enrolled in Colorado College of Medical and Dental Careers. So I rolled into there, and I was just going to be, I wanted to take classes to be an administrator in health. So administrative health assisting is the course that I took there. Really loved that course and finished that program, which it was a certificate program. It wasn't a degree program. So I finished that. They hyped it up and said, when you finish, you'll, be able to get a job and you'll make all this money. And because the cost to go there was expensive. And so I finished and everything. I'm still, my GPA I know was high because I always worked to my highest ability. So when I finished, I had a job before I finished. Question?
Yeah. In high school, in middle school, when did you start dating?
When did I start dating? Dating meaning what? Going places with a guy, or just saying this is my boyfriend? There's two different things.
Do both.
Well, boys and girls, like each other in sixth grade. Now, again, sixth grade was part of elementary then. Junior high was 7, 8, 9. So, I had a few boys that liked me in sixth grade. When did I start dating? I'd say more so in high school, but I really wasn't dating. You know what I mean? I don't know. Dating really wasn't that much of a thing.
So, what was your stepdad's opinion on you dating?
My stepdad was just there. He worked and financially supported the family for the most part. I think by the time I got into like 10th or 11th, they separated. So their relationship was kind of, it was on and then it was rocky and it was off. And, we even left town a couple of times because, the relationship was not what it should be. So we moved to Mesa, Arizona at one point. We didn't stay long. I went to school there. It was pretty racially bad there in Mesa. And then at one point we went to Kansas City, stayed a little bit. They were having riots down there when we were there. But yeah, my stepfather wasn't a person that, really talked about dating or anything else really. He just went to work. He was a construction worker, went to work, came home and drank beer, and that was about it.
What did your mom say? What was her opinion?
I mean, she gave, the advice. She gave advice, but she didn't just say, you can't date, Yeah. Does that answer your question?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ask
the question.
Go ahead, Tank.
What age was you before? Like, okay, so you said you had a kid at 18. Did you ever have that talk with your mom before having that kid, like that, the birds and the bees talk with your mother?
I'm sure I did. But again, like I said, my mom, was going through some things. And so some things might have slid by, but yeah. Oh, let me back up. Let me back up a little bit. So yes, I'm sure my mother talked to me about the birds and the bees. We had classes in school as well. So knew about it, just didn't follow it. Okay. So I want to back up to 12. Let me back up real quick. And then I see, Aja, that you have a question. So at 12 years old, well, we grew up in the church as well. We grew up in the Church of Christ, which I am still, I am a member of the body of Christ. So at 12 years old, I was baptized into Christ. And I think after that is where, things started to go kind of crazy. One, Satan doesn't want you to live a Christian life. And so I think Satan kind of came into our family and was kind of in the mix of it. And that was some of the falling away, because after I turned 12, I think we kind of stopped going to church as much as we did prior to that. And so I think that's what got me, kind of ditching and doing those things, is because I wasn't going to church as much as I had previously. Okay, Aja?
Not to okay, so you said that you had your first kid at 18, and you said that, going to college, it was kind of difficult because you, I guess, kind of missed out on parts of his life or whatever. And so would you say, not necessarily regret, but do you, I guess, wish that you would have waited to have a kid, or do you think that was the best decision?
That's a good question. Let me think about it. Do I regret having a child at 18? Is that what your question is?
Yeah, basically.
If I say that, then I'd say I regret having my child. So I can't say that. What I do regret is ditching and drinking and all of that. I regret that. Not necessarily having my child at 18, no, because I don't think it hindered me from doing most of what I wanted to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So where was I? So finished Colorado College of Medical and Dental Careers, got a job well, I was doing an internship. And normally when you do an internship, you hope that you'll get hired on at that business. So they knew what my degree was in because I was doing my internship there. So when it was time for me to transition into the job, I wanted to stay at the job, but I wanted to have that position of an administrative assistant, you know. I got hired as a secretary. They wanted to pay me, I think it was like $4 an hour. But remember, back then we were making very much at an hour anyway, from 2 something up to 4 or 5. So I negotiated, and I think I ended up getting $5.50 an hour or something like that, and stayed there for a while. Even though, you know, I was told, well, you'll be able to make more money and this and that when I took the course. Stayed there for quite a while, and I felt like I definitely was the only African American or Black person in the office, and I just felt like I wasn't being treated fairly. So basically I was the secretary. So I did all the billing and the payroll and all of that. And they were giving raises, and they gave someone $1 raise, and I got a 50-cent raise. And I thought that was unfair for everything that I was doing. And then I was also training it was a home healthcare business where people go out and help people in their homes, elderly people in their homes, or disabled people in their homes. And so I was doing that as well. And so I brought that up, that I felt like I should have gotten $1 raise. And so basically they wanted me to quit. They wanted me to quit, or they were going to fire me. So I wasn't going to quit because, you know, I had children at that time. So I just, you know, I'm like, you're just going to have to fire me if you feel like you need to get rid of me. So then they did fire me, and then I had to take them to court because unemployment didn't want to give me unemployment because I had been fired. But I felt like, you know, I was fired unjustly. So I took them to court, and I was able to get the unemployment. And so after that, I didn't work for 10 years after that because I had gotten married, and my husband said I didn't need to work after that. Aja?
So as far as you taking them to court and everything, how did that process, like, how was the process? Like, what did you have to go through and everything? And then how did you win the case, basically?
I won it, but I didn't win it. You know, I was able to get the unemployment. The people that I worked for, the lady that ran the company was I think she was a retired sergeant in the Army or something. So she had a lot of clout or pull. But basically I forgot how, you know, it's been so many years. I forgot how I ended up there, but I know I remember sitting in a room with her, and it might've been her lawyer, I don't know, and me and someone else, and yeah.
I got a question. Was it a woman or a man that got the raise above you?
A woman.
A woman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you thought you worked harder than her?
Well, I thought not necessarily harder, possibly, but not necessarily. But I just felt like I deserved as much as she got.
So would you say it was jealousy?
On the part of the administrators? I just felt like because I was a Black young woman that, you know, I felt like they felt that I didn't deserve what other people were getting.
The lady who got the raise, she was a white lady?
Yes. Well, she was actually Mexican, but you couldn't tell only because, you know, her skin was really white and her hair was red. But I know that she was actually a Mexican woman.
So to say, if that was to happen like today in today's society, how would you have dealt with it? Would you have dealt with it the same, or would you have just continued to work to prove that you were a better worker than the lady that got the raise?
I probably would do the second that you mentioned. The only way that I knew everybody was getting raises and what they were getting, because I was in the position to do the payroll. It probably wasn't any of my business, but it was because I was doing payroll. But I probably should have overlooked it. But you know, like I said, it was meant to go that way. And like I said, after that, I didn't work for 10 years. And so during that 10-year time that I didn't work outside of the home, I was a homemaker. You know, I spent a little more time with my children in school because, you know, fast forward, I gave birth to 4 children. When I married my husband, we had brought our families together. He had 2 children that were not biologically mine, and they moved down with us. And so we had 6 children. And yeah, so I spent a lot more time, you know, in their schools, volunteering. I homeschooled a couple of years, no, 1 year. And then I took care of my mom, who, you know, was not doing well physically. And then when she passed away, then I felt like I needed to get it back into the workforce. So I went and started working at a hospital doing some data entry stuff. And then I also worked for DPS as a paraprofessional at Gove Middle School, or at that time, Gove, it might've been Gove Middle at that time. Philip?
So during that 10 years, you didn't work, you said, right?
Right.
How was all the bills, how was everything able to be paid for and taken care of?
My husband.
What kind of work was he doing?
What kind of work was he doing? Street work.
Oh, street work.
Yeah.
A street pharmacist?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so things were okay. Aja, and then G. Is it, am I pronouncing your name right? G? Okay. Aja, go ahead.
So you basically said that you wanted to be a teacher at a young age, then you wanted to be a lawyer in different career fields and stuff like that. So what, I guess, what led to your final decision of being a teacher?
I think volunteering in my children's classrooms and, you know, working with kids in that aspect. And then taking the job at Denver Public Schools as a paraprofessional. And so I was a paraprofessional in a severe, profound classroom. And these students, you know, they might have had feeding tubes, they might be autistic, they might, you know, just have some mental disabilities. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take G's and then I'll finish. G.
Are you still married?
Yeah.
How many years?
30, going on 31.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I was working there and that was fine. It was a small classroom. Again, I'd have to diaper some of the students, feed some of the students. And then there was a flyer that went out that they were looking for teachers to, you know, to get their teaching degree. So I got that flyer and I remember that it was a very, very rainy evening that we were supposed to go to this school and talk about the process as to getting into college and getting your teaching degree. And it was pouring rain. And again, so I wanted to check it out. So I went, checked it out. It was only 2 people that showed up, myself and another woman who showed up to see about, you know, moving into the teaching field. And the class, or the, you know, the meeting went really well. And so I signed up and got into the program at UNC University of Northern Colorado, but it was the Denver location over in, over off of, what is it, 11th and Syracuse, over that way. So it was the Denver location. And the Lord, you know, led me to all of that. And it went so smoothly. I had paid off all my other student loans that I had acquired. After I did the Colorado College for Medical and Dental career, again, I was so shy. I really didn't, you know, I wasn't outgoing, wasn't just really shy. So I took some professional development classes to kind of learn to, you know, be less shy. And then I took a class that was writing for children and teenagers that I did online. And I finished that course, paid off that debt of student loan information. And then I started at UNC for my bachelor's in education. So that took 4 years. I switched from Gove Middle School to Whittier and began working as a regular para, because you had to do a regular para job in order to be in the program. And that's what took me to Whittier. Philip, you're muted.
Going back. Did you know your husband was doing what he was doing?
I would have to say yes. I mean, he was a cook, so he was also a cook as well. So, so I knew that he was a cook. Again, we go back, my husband and I go back to childhood. We lived across the street from each other. He was friends with my brothers. I was friends with his sisters. We met.
So your brothers, your brothers was cool with him?
They weren't around by the time that my brothers weren't around by the time that we got together, but I would say they would be. I guess they would be.
Wow.
Him and my youngest brother were best friends back in the day. Yeah.
Okay. So did y'all, when y'all started dating or talking, did that interrupt you, their relationship?
No, because again, they weren't around, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you know, our family is pretty huge, and he knew our family. So when he would come to town, he would try to, you know, check on our family and see where we were, which kind of was easy because we lived, you know, there were people that he could get in touch with that would get in touch with us, basically.
So when you found out what he was doing, did you try to stop him? Did you tell him like, nah, don't do that?
Well, I knew what he was doing. That's why I said I had to say I knew what he was doing. No.
Why not?
Because I guess it supported our household. I guess that was my main reason. Yeah.
Did it bother you at all?
It probably was a little bit uncomfortable at first, you know. Yeah, he didn't live here at first, so he moved here, and then we, you know, he was in and out. And so my second child, 5 years after my first, we have together. So, but he left town and we didn't see each other for quite a while. Then I had a third child. And then later he got in touch with me, you know, because again, we know each other's families. And he knew he had a daughter here. So we started talking, and then he moved here. He was doing what he was doing there, working as a cook and doing the other side job. So he came here and was doing the same thing. And 4 months after he got here, we got married, and that was how that went. Later, though, you know, I did encourage him to stop.
Did y'all have like an extravagant wedding?
No, not extravagant. No. We got married here at our house that we still live in. Yeah, in our front room.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to couples trying to keep their relationship strong?
I would say one, there has to be a lot of give and take, and you have to respect each other, and just, when if it's more than just a couple, if you're married, um, respecting each other and keeping true to the marriage, and understanding that it's for life, but be true to it. Yeah.
I have a question as far as so you said that your husband moved or left town or whatever, and you had a daughter left, or he left a daughter behind or whatever. So then you also said that you had another child, and so I'm trying to figure out how to say this without saying their names. So your daughter, how did she basically, was your second son's dad like a stepdad to your first daughter, if that makes sense?
I was pretty much a single parent. You know what I mean? I didn't have anyone living with us. They would, my oldest son, his father left and never came back. So that was fine. My second son, his father would come around to, we would go places together, or he'd come to pick up his son. But it really wasn't, a stepfather type thing.
Okay, and then as far as, I don't know if you mentioned it already and I missed it, but how did you pay off like your student loans and stuff like that?
Just working, and, I know that my husband helped me with some debt when he got here. But other than that, yeah, I just made the payments. So then got my bachelor's degree, started teaching kindergarten. My first year I taught kindergarten. I think some parents kind of thought that I was a little too hard on their babies. So then I moved into teaching 4th and 5th grade. Teaching 4th and 5th grade math, some science, depending on the year. Did teach some science up until they decided that it would just be math. So I did that. And then 5 years later, I decided, well, I almost went into law. I almost went back to school to be a lawyer. When I finished my degree in education, I took the LSAT, which is a law school entry exam. And I passed that. I wanted to go to DU, but DU didn't accept me. And they wanted to, you could go to college in California. But at that point, I'm 40 something years old. And it's like, I'm not gonna uproot and go to California to school. So I, just stayed in with my master's and taught. Philip?
Why would you say some parents, would say you were too hard on the kids?
Because I am a firm, I'm firm. I set high expectations, and my expectations are what I know kids can reach. But some parents, might think that's a little too much. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then in 2009, I enrolled in University of Phoenix and took a master's in administration and supervision. And the goal was to get my principal license, which I completed that degree program and got my principal license and continued to teach.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. And so I've been teaching, I was teaching at Whittier, I think it was I ended up there a total of 19 years. I taught a total of 14 because my first 4 years I was a paraprofessional. And so this past year I was ribbed, which means a reduction in building. There was, the student population is not what they wanted it to be or needed it to be to sustain three teachers in the 4 or 5 grade level. Because total there were probably, I'd say at max, 50 4th and 5th graders combined, and you've got 3 teachers, one teaching math, one teaching literacy, one teaching science and social studies. So they felt that they needed to cut a teacher. So that is where I am today. Finishing up this school year online with everybody else. And then now just kind of looking to see what I'll be doing going forward. Aja?
Have you decided, since you do have, your principal and everything, like, or you can be a principal or whatever, have you decided to go back to teaching, or do you want to be a principal, or what are you going to do this upcoming school year?
Well, it's pretty hard you can't just, well, so far I have not been able to step into a principal position, even though I have the degree, and the degree, it's quite a few years have gone by since I had, gotten the degree. They want you to have some training or previous experience in those positions of principal and all of that. So I'm looking at that, trying to get in the door into a admin position, whether it be a teacher leader or a dean or vice principal or something like that. If not, I may return to teaching for a while, a few more years. Yeah.
What age group do you feel like you connect with the most as a teacher?
I think the 4th and 5th graders. Again, I taught kindergarten and 5th and 4th, and that's it. So, but I think I can connect. I think I can connect with all kids, really. But 4th and 5th is a good age.
You ever experienced a situation with a parent coming at you disrespectfully, tried to come at you, sideways behind something a student said to them or something like that about you?
Small bits and pieces of those situations. Nothing blatant. A lot of times I think they would go to the principal before they'll come to me. But if they come to me, and once I tell them, what's been going on, they usually back up some. Yeah.
If we ain't catch nothing this whole time while you was talking, what's one message that you can leave us with?
I don't know that I made it clear, but I hope I have that. Just as my title spoke, my journey, I walk not alone. We don't walk this journey alone. If you feel like, you don't have a group of friends or a support system, you're not alone. God is right there with you. And we can only do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So we can do the things that we need to do. We can get through life. You're not alone. And so even when you seem to be alone, when you're going a path that your friends are not going, or you're going a path where you don't feel like you have support, just know you're not alone.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments or compliments?
Yeah, I got one. With the school system, how was that staff that you worked with for years? Because I know when I went to Whittier, you guys were like very close. And do y'all still have that relationship that y'all had when y'all were teaching together?
Um, well, you haven't been there in a while. So it's changed over the years. And it's not that we were very close. I think we were very professional, you know, and so we treated each other with respect because we're professionals. Um, and I think that's still there in some ways. But a lot of the staff has changed. But yeah, I think, you know, I think for the most part, most people are still conducting themselves professionally.
Okay,
Anybody
okay.
else? Okay, well, before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you for sharing.
Hold on,
your
I got a
story.
question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Dang, I had a question. I forgot my question. Oh, okay. So how, as a teacher, because I know this is something I just realized maybe within the last couple of years, and I know young students don't realize this. How, as a teacher, do you balance the personal life and the teacher? Like when you're a teacher, students think that's all you are. That's all you do. You're a teacher. You come to school, you teach me, that's it. You go home, you don't do nothing else. You grade my papers, you come back to be a teacher. So how, as a teacher, do you balance that personal life and having children at home and being a teacher in the workplace?
Well, one thing, by the time that I became a teacher, I think all of my children were grown or close enough to being grown. The youngest is now 28. So that wasn't so hard. It's difficult because as a teacher, you take your work home. You know, you can't grade all the papers in class and before, you know, you walk out that building. So you're carrying, you know, that with you. Just a lot of long nights, basically. But still, you know, being there for my family, my grandkids, and yeah, my husband. Still, you know, doing some of the things I enjoy. Some things are on hold, but every now and then I get a chance to do.
So I got another question too. So why did you decide to start teaching? Why did you decide to go to work? If your husband was doing everything, if he's taking care of all the bills and everything like that, why all of a sudden did you decide to go to work?
Well, again, I had, you know, I was taking care of my mom at a point and she passed away. And so therefore, you know, like I said, most of my kids were either grown or nearing grown. So I felt I needed to, you know, do something for me and get back into, you know, back into the workforce.
Do you feel like if you could, would you go back and explore like maybe the law field or the medical field, or do you, are you happy that you went with teaching?
Teaching has been good. Again, you know, I feel like I'm a lifelong learner, so who knows whether or not I'll go back for another degree in another field. Again, I may have thought more about law school after when I took the LSAT and was able to get into a law degree program. I may have thought more about that and may have looked into that a little bit more. Again, you know, when I got the letter saying that I had passed the exam and all, and got the letter that, you know, California might be a good place to start. I don't know that I would have necessarily looked at California. I might have looked in Colorado to see what other options other than DU that there were. But I don't regret the teaching. You know, it's been good.
As a Black female teacher who teaches the youth, what do you do to make sure that you have some type of positive impact on your students? Because, you know, in Colorado, we don't have many Black teachers. It's few of you. It's very few of you. And so I don't know, if I had a Black female teacher growing up, I know it would have impacted me in a different type of way. I never had that privilege of having a female Black teacher in the classroom. And so what do you do to make sure you leave your mark or your stamp on your students?
Well, I try to help them see how much they mean to me and how important, you know, education, them gaining the education is. I try to, you know, talk with them. I try to show them the concepts in different ways to make sure that they're not feeling it's just so straight, that they can access. But it's really difficult because I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think a lot of Black students appreciate a Black teacher, and a lot of times a female teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's difficult, but I try to help them to see, you know, the importance of education. You know, you don't want to sit there and say, you know, you're a Black child, I'm a Black teacher, we're in this, you know, you don't want to do that because that can be, you know, it can mean something to those that are not Black, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I try to get them to see that we're one, we're together. Mm-hmm. It's hard for them to see that though when they're young, I think. But just talking to them and trying to, you know, spend extra time helping them. You know, I've tutored kids after school, you know, but a lot of them, they don't, you know, take the opportunity, because I'll tell you, if you're struggling, see me at lunch, see me before school, see me after school. A lot of parents don't, you know, push their kids to take the opportunity either. So a lot of times they're struggling and they don't come in before school or after they eat their lunch or after school, even though I make myself available.
What's crazy is this the second time I'm hearing a teacher say that
Mm-hmm.
Families of color and students of color and parents don't take advantage of teachers of color. You know, there was a whole school that I was working in, had the whole admin was Black or admins of color. Whole teacher staff was teachers of color. There was only one white person in that entire building, and the students were still showing their asses. You know what I mean? Not truly realizing what they had in that building and in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very interesting that you said that. That's thank you for saying.
Yeah.
Do you believe that that's a result of kind of like the teacher stigma, similar to the police stigma, and like what people believe about them?
I don't think so. I think it's more of, you know, in my personal opinion, I think it's more of us not accepting ourselves. So if we don't accept ourselves, how can we accept someone like us in authority over us?
Right.
So I don't think it has to do with, you know, the police versus the teacher. I think it's respecting myself and my background and my family and understanding that this person in front of me is a resource, or, you know.
How do you feel is the best way to engage in that conversation and reel those families in?
It's difficult. I mean, you know, I think talking to the parents, at Whittier, there were times when we would do like a math night where parents would come. I've even offered, you know, to teach parents because they do have a tough time with the math curriculum that they see in front of them now. And they just don't commit to it. So I don't know. I just think having those conversations and offering, you know, you can come in and take notes as well, you know. So I've offered that. And I think just continuing to offer those things to parents and letting them know, you know, we're the same. You know, we're really the same. I want what's best for your child just like you do. And I want you, you know, I want your child to know that, and I want you to know that as a parent. So I think that's basically it. I call parents a lot and have conversations. Sometimes, you know, and even I like the fact that some schools do home visits, because I think that kind of bridges a gap too. Those that don't mind having you come to their homes or meeting them at the library or wherever, outside of the school. Because I think sometimes schools, you know, parents have said that schools are intimidating to them because maybe as when they were in school, they didn't have a positive experience. And so they don't really like, you know, going into the schools, talking to the teachers. So talking to them, you know, at their homes or at libraries or places that, you know, they feel more comfortable, a lot of times help.
As a teacher, do you, as a teacher and a parent, are you satisfied with the parent participation in the schools?
No, no, but I understand it to a point. You know, some parents are working really hard out there trying to, you know, trying to take care of the bills. So I understand that. You know, so some can't, some just can't do it.
Right.
So yeah, but I just feel like, you know, instill those that can't do it because they have those jobs that are demanding that they, you know, do that. Just instilling in their students the way that they need to be, you know, acting in school and participating in school, because sometimes that's not there. If the parent doesn't understand the teacher or the curriculum or what's going on, then sometimes I think they kind of shut the teachers down, and they do that maybe in front of their students, their children, and so then their children have this negative attitude about the whole thing. You know, I had parents who said, you know, I didn't like math, you know, or I wasn't good at math, and I try to tell them, don't say that in front of your children, because they feel like if you weren't, then why should I be any different? You know, try to give them a more positive look, because math is one of the most difficult subjects, I think, for students. And if the parents have a negative look at it and they put that on their student or their child, then their child is gonna feel that kind of same way.
Any other questions? Okay, like I was saying, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. I liked it a lot. And yeah, at the end of each session, we snap after the count of 3. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you all for staying tuned, and I wish you all well.
Thank you. Thank you for tapping in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I'll see everybody else at 3.
Sure.
I'm gonna hit you on the bit, G.
Okay. Have you seen my face? I'm like, great, hold on. Whoa. Okay.